from home. And so they could even be interested in the lecturer. In some situations, the guilty person is the student.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Transparency Files. I am your host, Hawasani Garba.
You need evidence beyond reasonable doubt to prove that that person sexually harassed you. There are times that the students themselves come with some character from home. And so they could even be interested in the lecturer. In some situations, the guilty person is the student.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Transparency Files. I am your host, Hawasani Garba. In schools and institutions meant to nurture learning, character, and potential, a silent crime festers in the shadows. It's called sexual harassment, a form of corruption where grades, opportunities, and safety are exchanged for sex. On today's episode, our spotlight is on how the ugly monster of sex for grades could be eradicated in Nigeria's secondary and tertiary institutions. But before we dive deeper into the topic, let's catch up on anti-corruption updates. Later in the program, we will bring you highlights from our state offices and other exciting features. Stay tuned.
Welcome to this segment on anti-corruption stories. I am Ruth Awudi. ICPC has secured the conviction of Mr. Iyonu Eseme, a staff of the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, for using a forged trade test certificate to obtain employment with the agency. Mr. Eseme was arraigned before Honorable Justice M.I. Tanko of the Federal Capital Territory High Court, Maitama, Abuja, on a 3-count charge bordering on forgery. The charges were brought under Sections 366 and 368 of the Penal Code Act, as well as Section 25, subsection 1B of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000. Upon arraignment, the defendant, through his counsel, Mr. Anthony Idanosa Uruaga, opted for a plea bargain. The prosecuting counsel for ICPC, Mr. Nura Seidu, accepted the plea bargain in accordance with Section 270 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, ACJA 2015, and recommended to the court a conviction with a fine. Justice M.I. Tanko, having considered the plea and the agreement reached by both parties, convicted Mr. Eseme and sentenced him to a fine of 50,000 naira only. ICPC reiterates its commitment to ensuring integrity and transparency in public institutions and warns that acts of forgery and other corrupt practices will not go unpunished. In another development, the chairman of ICPC, Dr. Musa Adamu Aliyu SAN, has charged Nigerian secondary school students to become ambassadors of integrity and positive behavior, both within and outside the school environments. Dr. Aliyu gave the charge during the cluster inauguration of students' anti-corruption clubs in 9 secondary schools at the ICPC headquarters in Abuja. Represented by the Director of Public Enlightenment and Education Department, Mr. Demola Bakare FSI, the ICPC chairman emphasized the strategic role of young people in the national anti-corruption effort.
The guideline actually regulates the conduct of members of anti-corruption clubs. not just the conduct of the meeting, your conduct within and outside of the school. Because the utmost aspiration, or do I say, intendment of your membership of the Anti-Corruption Club is for you to be ambassadors of good conduct. It is an honor for your school authority to choose you as foundation executives of the club for your school. I urge all of you to go back to school and grow the club. Youth engagement has been one of the cardinal anti-corruption strategies deployed by ICPC. This is in line with the Commission's mandate as enshrined in Section 6, subsection E to F of the ICPC Act 2000, which mandates the Commission to educate and mobilize the youth for the fight against corruption.
What is in it for every generation if a society is well managed? Peace, harmony, progress is what members of every generation present in any society at any particular point in time will enjoy if their society is well managed. That our hospitals do not have drugs today, our schools do not have teaching aids and equipment, our roads are filled with potholes that they have become death traps and people are dying every day, that we have insecurity everywhere in this country is a direct result of corruption. That is what the ICPC and other anti-corruption agencies are fighting to change.
Delivering a goodwill message, Mr. Joshua Odidi, a representative of Step Up Nigeria, applauded the partnership between his organization and ICPC. He described it as a successful model of institutional collaboration aimed at empowering young people to reject corruption.
Our partnership with ICPC over the years has contributed significantly to the successes we recorded, from joint school outreaches to stakeholder engagements and teacher training. These collaborations have shown that when institutions work together, the impact on the next generation is not just measurable, but transformational. We intend to build on our partnership with ICPC to mainstream anti-corruption education across all schools in Nigeria. And we believe this cluster school event is another step in the right direction, and we are excited about the possibilities it holds. As we look forward to the future, Step Up Nigeria is committed to deepening our collaboration with ICPC to expand integrity education across more public schools and underserved areas, scale the use of the SunLearn app as a key digital tool in anti-corruption learning, build more platforms for student engagement and teacher capacity building, and finally, jointly develop impact tracking systems for accountability and learning outcomes. Together, we can continue to nurture a generation of values, honesty, transparency, and good governance.
A major highlight of the event was the administration of the anti-corruption oath to newly inaugurated club members, led by Barrister L.C. Iheduru, a deputy superintendent in the ICPC's Department of Legal Services. The event underscores ICPC's continued commitment to building a generation of ethically sound young Nigerians who will lead the charge for a corruption-free nation. That will be all on this segment. Transparency Files continues with Hawa. Stay with us.
Corruption not in my country.
Yes.
Good day, sir.
Good day.
Sir, I'm here in line with my score in the last final exams.
What about your score?
You gave me 55%, sir.
You scored 25%.
Sir, you didn't add my continuous assessment. If you did,
Who told you that? During rain semester, you failed. It means you have one extra year to go.
Oh, sir, please, I beg you in the name of God. I can't afford to have an extra year.
Why are you begging it?
Please, sir, my mother is depending on my graduation, so I can cater for my younger ones.
But you
Please, sir.
failed.
Let's just meet somewhere.
Uh-huh.
Continuous assessment. I'll give it to you. I'll give you continuous assessment. Huh? Everything. Just
Stop! This is corruption, not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Corruption not in my country.
You are still watching Transparency Files. Welcome back. Sexual harassment is a hybrid of sexual abuse and corruption. It happens when people in authority, teachers or lecturers demand sexual favors in exchange for grades, admissions, or other academic privileges. Reports show that cases of sexual harassment are prevalently reported in Nigerian schools. ICPC has documented several cases and still prosecuting many in various courts. While the law frowns at sexual misconduct, a culture of silence, weak institutional frameworks, and societal victim blaming continue to embolden perpetrators. To shed more light on this subject, ICPC recently had a conversation with Dr. Mary Adehi, a senior lecturer at the University of Abuja, on how this scourge could be eradicated. Let's take a listen.
Since we are talking about tertiary institutions now, maybe a lecturer comes and we are speaking and he says, okay, if you do this with me or if you let me do this, you're going to do so well in this school. And they keep talking about that. And I say, yes. Does that also count as sexual harassment?
Yeah, that will count as sexual harassment because these children are quite young and they see you as a mentor. They believe the things you tell them. You're supposed to be a formator for them. And if for some reason you get their attention enough to begin to coerce them into doing anything that is sexual, yes, it will be sexual harassment. There is also what we call ulterior motives. So while to the victim is not seeing it as sexual harassment,
Right. Exactly.
the person who has an ulterior motive is very mindful of what he or she is doing. And so it is sexual harassment. The lecturer needs to first and foremost understand what his or her priority is in the academic world. And so by the time you begin to deviate from that into private issues about a student, then you're beginning to journey into something like sexual harassment, knowingly or unknowingly. So it will always be good that you have a focus, much as you should have a kind of cordial relationship with your students.
Yeah.
You should also know where to draw the line. There are certain issues that you shouldn't be asking students.
Yeah.
Why would you just come to a student, for instance, and say, who is your boyfriend? Who is your girlfriend?
That's very inappropriate.
It's quite inappropriate.
Yes.
Well, it will always also be good to know that it's not only the lecturer that is guilty in a situation of sexual harassment. There are times that the students themselves come with some character from home. And so they could even be interested in the lecturer. In some situations, the guilty person is the student. There are several organs, isn't it, managing the students within the school. She has a head of department. She could speak out to him. She has a dean. She could speak out to him. She could actually walk into the vice chancellor's office. Yes, she could actually walk into the vice chancellor's office to say, I am in trouble. The vice chancellor would definitely leave whatever he or she is doing to attend to such a student. Why it is such a difficult one, you need to build that courage before you actually get into trouble. Because by the time it is full blown, it's still your word against his. You need evidence beyond reasonable doubt to prove that that person sexually harassed you. So speaking out early is a solution. It's not going to cost you your education in any way.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Transparency Files. We are discussing the way forward on how to eradicate sex for marks in Nigerian schools. While government agencies like the ICPC and non-governmental organizations are taking both steps from public campaigns to policy reforms, all aimed at ending sexual harassment, it is generally agreed that eradicating this social crime requires a holistic approach. A legal officer with the ICPC and head of the anti-sexual harassment team, Mrs. Bumi Olugasa, speaks on the approaches being adopted.
What ICPC is doing, we know, of course, that our mandate, as provided in Section 6 of the ICPC Act 2000, says that we have a three-pronged mandate. The first one, of course, education, prevention, and then enforcement. Education, I think, when we are talking about schools in particular, the framework of the schools helps us to sensitize students and even the staff. Because when we are talking about harassment now, it's not peculiar to the educators and the students. We do have staff who also harass other staff. And in some instances, we have students who harass their fellow students. So in the area of education, we have our different channels, like for instance in the public enlightenment department, we do have the anti-corruption vanguards. These are channels that school students can learn about corruption, what harassment is about, and how they can report if they are being harassed. In the area of enforcement, that is the last hurdle. When we have educated people, we have sensitized you, we have told you how to identify harassment. We have told you that this particular form of harassment comes under the mandate of the ICPC, that is abuse of office, which is a crime. And we have also looked at the system, we have advised you on how you can curtail or block the loopholes. And we find that still we have some incidents of abuse of office via sexual harassment. Then we can go into an investigation. We have some people that report anonymously. We have some people that actually lay complaints, giving the full details of the incidents. So when we investigate and we find that a prima facie case is established, then we can go ahead and prosecute. So those are the steps ICPC has the mandate to take in the area of sexual harassment, which is an abuse of office. We have, of course, the landmark case whereby the ICPC prosecuted a university lecturer in the University of Ife, Professor Akindele, and in that case we got a judgment. The judgment was appealed, but the appeal was still in our favor. So that is one landmark case that hopefully will serve as a deterrent to people who are interested in perpetrating abuse of office via sexual harassment. And then we do have another notorious case that is ongoing, almost at the point of completion right now, in the High Court, the Federal High Court in Abuja here. Another lecturer who was also arraigned, similar charges of sexual harassment, abuse of office via sexual harassment. So we have that landmark case. And of course, there's another ongoing case in the Southwest. I would not want to mention the names of the defendants, but these cases are going on in the High Court, Federal High Court in Abuja, and then in the High Court somewhere in the Southwest. So these people were successfully charged and the trials are ongoing. Because after an investigation, we were able to establish that there was a prima facie case established against the perpetrators. They can report these cases via our social media handles. They can also go to info@icpc.gov.ng. But we find that a number of people, because of the nature of sexual harassment, they are reluctant to come out themselves. So that is why we have ongoing partnerships with some CSOs. So some CSOs, because they have the infrastructure to give proper counseling to victims of sexual harassment, they can go up to the CSOs and ask for assistance. The CSOs will counsel them, and then the CSOs will take them through the entire process when we are going to interview them after lodging the report, and we find there's merit in the report. After the period of interviewing them, all through the time of the trial, where a prima facie case is established, the CSOs will be there, because it is such a very traumatic experience that they always need somebody to be there holding their hand. So for those of them that end up going to court to testify, the court system can be so strange, and it can be somewhat hostile to someone who's not used to it. So we also encourage people to reach out to the civil society organizations for guidance, for counseling, and for support. So you can report through those CSOs, you can report through our website, and you can also use our social media handles for students and even staff, some work officers who are going through sexual harassment in their different organizations. These are the avenues they can use.
As we move towards the end of today's episode, let's bring you updates from our ICPC state offices across the country.
In commemoration of the African Union Anti-Corruption Day, the ICPC Sokoto State Office has inaugurated executives of Student Anti-Corruption Vanguard across 6 schools under the Usmanu Danfodio University Teaching Hospital, Udut, Sokoto. The resident anti-corruption commissioner, Mr. Shintema Binga, expressed appreciation to the Udut management for partnering with ICPC, stressing that the fight against corruption requires a collective effort. In his response, the representative of the Chief Medical Director, Professor Mansour Olayinka Raji, commended ICPC's efforts in creating awareness against corruption and urged the newly inaugurated members to act as ambassadors of integrity and educate fellow students on the dangers of corruption. Coming from Borno State, ICPC organized a 2-day workshop in collaboration with Gulan's Accounting and Financial Services, Maiduguri, with the theme, The Role of ICPC in Public Sector Procurement and Financial Integrity in Local Governments of Borno State. Present to deliver goodwill messages were the Executive Governor of Borno State, ably represented by Borno State Head of Service, Dr. Muhammad Aminu, and His Royal Highness, the Shehu of Borno, Dr. Abubakar Ibn Umar Garbai, represented by the Wazir in Borno, Alhaji Shetima Matawali. From Bauchi State, ICPC, in collaboration with NYSC Anti-Corruption CDS Group, sensitized the staff and students of Government Day Secondary School, Bakari Duku, Bauchi, on the dangers of exam malpractice in schools. The Bauchi State Resident Anti-Corruption Commissioner, who was represented by Mr. Isge Musa, advised the students to take their studies with seriousness and to avoid exam malpractices, as such practices may end their lives or even land them in jail. In Akwa Ibom State, a courtesy visit was paid by the Resident Anti-Corruption Commissioner of ICPC Akwa Ibom State, Mr. Baba Alaro Shuaib, to the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice Akwa Ibom State, Mr. Uko Essien Udom SAN, at his office. The RAC, in his speech, gave a brief on the 3-pronged mandates of the ICPC, while he also appealed for synergy among institutions to strengthen the anti-corruption crusade. The Attorney General expressed gratitude to the RAC for the enlightenment on the mandates of the Commission, also pledging to provide guide towards instituting anti-corruption policies in the states.
And that's how far we can go on this week's edition of Transparency Files. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms as shown on your screen. You can also catch previous episodes on our YouTube channel at ICPC Nigeria. Thank you for watching. See you same time next week. I am Hawasani Garba saying bye for now.
I've just got here and I think I'm losing signal already. Hello? Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Hello, it's me. I was wondering if after all these years you'd like to meet to go over everything. They say the time's supposed to heal ya, but I ain't done much healing. Hello, can you hear me? I'm in California dreaming about who we used to be when we were younger.